Introverted teenager David Rice secretly admires Millie, an adventurous soul with dreams of global travel. One day, David plucks up the courage to surprise Millie with a small gift, a snow globe featuring the Eiffel Tower. However, a taunting bully named Mark seizes the opportunity to snatch the globe and hurls it onto the icy river's surface. Determined, David ventures out onto the frozen river to retrieve it, waving in triumph. Suddenly, disaster strikes as he falls through the ice and is swept away by the swift current, facing the prospect of drowning in the freezing water. Without warning, he finds himself sprawled amidst library bookshelves, drenched in a deluge of water, gasping for breath but miraculously alive. Upon returning home, David faces a scolding from his father. Seeking refuge in his room, he secures the door with a chain, but when his enraged father forcefully enters, all that remains is a swirl of wind. David has vanished. He materializes in the dimly lit library, realizing he possesses the power to change his life, much like his mother did when she abandoned the family when he was just 5. Gathering some money and belongings, he departs town. However, before leaving, he makes a mysterious gesture outside Millie's house. Millie, believing David to be dead, receives a glimmer of hope upon discovering the snow globe on her swing set but receives no response to her calls. The following day, David embarks on a bus to the city, where he rents a modest room. He practices teleportation in a nearby park, honing his newfound abilities. Eventually, he targets a bank, executing a series of heists by teleporting directly into the vault under the cover of night. Amused by the realization that his bag can't accommodate all the money, he returns to his shabby hotel room for additional bags, repeating the process until he rests upon a bed of wealth. Nevertheless, his newfound tranquility is disrupted when the enigmatic Roland enters the scene, claiming to represent the NSA and displaying astonishing nonchalance regarding the bank heists. It becomes clear that Roland possesses knowledge of teleportation abilities and is affiliated with a powerful group intent on capturing teleporters. Years pass, and David now resides in an opulent city apartment adorned with images of his global adventures. He revels in life's pleasures, surfing in Fiji, dining atop the Egyptian Sphinx, and charming women in British pubs. He effortlessly jumps from one place to another within his home, ignoring the plight of ordinary people trapped in crises televised worldwide. David's serenity shatters with Roland's arrival, wielding an electrical weapon and wires that impede his teleportation. Roland's mission is to eliminate jumpers, asserting that only God should possess the power to be omnipresent. Desperate, David somehow escapes and teleports back to his childhood bedroom. His father, alerted to his presence, pleads with him to stay, but David vanishes as his father forces open the bedroom door. With his idyllic life disrupted, David resolves to reunite with his lost love, Millie, who remains in the same town, now working at a bar. Mark, his old adversary, ignites a confrontation, prompting David to teleport Mark into a bank vault and leave him there. Returning to the bar, David approaches Millie with an audacious proposition, a trip to Rome. Millie, initially taken aback, cannot resist the allure of fulfilling her lifelong dream, and thus, she agrees. In Rome, David revels in Millie's delight as he guides her through the ancient city. However, their enthusiasm wanes when they discover the Colosseum closed for the day. Rather than accepting this setback and planning a return visit, David decides to take matters into his own hands. He discreetly leads Millie around a corner, and when she catches up, she finds him holding a gate open to allow her entry. Their unauthorized adventure continues as David opens doors from the inside, granting them an exclusive tour. Their exploration takes an unexpected turn when they attempt to descend to the stadium floor and encounter Griffin, another jumper. Griffin reveals that David is not alone and discloses the existence of a group known as the Paladins, led by Roland, who are determined to eliminate jumpers. 2 paladins suddenly materialize, but Griffin manages to subdue them and escapes with David through teleportation. David follows Griffin to his hideout, seeking answers. Griffin's explanations, albeit cryptic, hint at the danger his loved ones face. He emphasizes that David cannot afford to maintain relationships with a girlfriend, family, or friends, as the paladins would target them to reach him. Reluctantly, David agrees to depart, leaving Millie behind. As they make their exit from the Colosseum, they are detained by authorities. Although David refrains from teleporting, he implores Millie to return to the hotel. She refuses, leaving David alone for hours, undergoing intense police questioning. Just when the situation appears dire, a woman appears, instructing him to escape and abandon Millie. Astonishingly, this woman is none other than his long-lost mother, recognized from childhood pictures. David locates Millie and escorts her to the airport, delivering the sorrowful news that he cannot return home with her. Meanwhile, Roland gains information from Mark, who was left trapped in a bank vault by David. Mark, exhausted from recounting his story to skeptical officials, provides crucial details about David and their origins. Armed with this knowledge, Roland pays a visit to David's father. David returns to Griffin, consumed by questions, and finally comprehends the jeopardy his family faces. He teleports to his childhood home, where he finds his father in dire straits. Overcome with emotion, he transports his father to a hospital emergency room, desperately seeking help. Realizing that Millie's life is in danger upon her arrival in the USA, David pleads with Griffin for assistance. After intense persuasion, Griffin reluctantly agrees to a limited engagement, his deep-seated grudge against Roland evident from the numerous drawings in his home. Upon their return to the USA, David discovers that Millie's flight landed an hour earlier. He rushes to her apartment, aiming to swiftly extract her. However, Roland and his squad arrive before he can explain. David manages to teleport Millie to Griffin's hideout but incurs Griffin's wrath for inadvertently leading Roland to their location. As a showdown unfolds, Roland arrives, and an epic battle commences. At one point, Griffin teleports a bus at Roland, who narrowly evades it. David finds himself ensnared, immobilized by Roland's electrical traps. Millie frees him, her anger and fear of his powers evident. She demands that he take her home and leave her be. Tragically, she is soon captured and held hostage. Griffin hatches a plan to dispatch Roland by using a bomb at Millie's apartment, but this would mean sacrificing everyone else inside, including Millie. David objects, and the two engage in a tumultuous teleportation battle across the globe, struggling over the bomb and detonator. Eventually, they plummet from the Empire State Building, landing in a war zone. David finally ensnares Griffin in fallen power lines, mirroring Roland's trapping methods. David returns to Millie's apartment, fully aware of the peril that awaits him. Electric wires encircle him, tethered to the walls. Instead, he focuses on the sections connected to the anchor wires. As he utilizes his powers, the building begins to disintegrate, its roof shattering as the apartment vanishes from underneath it. David transports Roland to a remote cave and abandons him there, offering a wry reminder of the sharks he could have chosen instead. David disappears, leaving Roland to emerge on an isolated cliff in the Grand Canyon. It's now winter, and David arrives at an upscale home, knocking on the door. A teenage girl answers, followed by David's mother. Their conversation reveals that she is a paladin who spared David's life when he first manifested his teleportation abilities at the age of 5 because she loved him. David presses for more answers, but she explains that she is helping him in her own way, by providing him with a head start. Realizing he won't receive further information, he departs the house, where Millie meets him outside. David inquires about their next destination, to which Millie replies, "Surprise me," as they teleport away.